Great, Adam.
Good. Hey, was wondering a question about Taco Charlton. What you've learned about him maybe after a month or whatever of coaching him, and do you sort of have a feel for what his strengths and weaknesses are, whether he's just a pass rusher or maybe if you have a need, he can be an every down kind of guy?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think he's more than that. Hard to tell right now. I mean, we're going off of the history that he's had in the league and also what we've seen. Downside, haven't seen him in a game. The system is new, so there is a learning curve, and there have been some things that he's had to work through from a mental standpoint. I really like the way Frank's been working with Taco because they know each other a little bit, and I think Frank's taken on that role of trying to mentor or help Taco, and he realizes Taco's in a new team. Frank went through the same thing last year. So I like the way they're working together. It's going to take a little while, but we can figure out exactly where Taco fits in. But love his length, love a lot of things he does. He's been working real close with Brendan Daly. Brendan does a great job with those guys. So hopefully we can get him to a point where he helps us on all downs.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Morning, Steve. I was curious about Ben Neiman and his progress and what has maybe made him a candidate to get some additional time this season.
Yeah, you know what, Pete? If you had to say one thing that makes him a candidate is from the chin to the hairline. A very intelligent football player. We all know his dad's a football coach and played at Iowa and all that. But I got a great deal of respect for Ben. He's a true pro. He knows everything we put in. He's a great communicator, has become a great communicator. I got great confidence in him and Hitch when we put them in front of the huddle and when they break the huddle and have to make adjustments. And I would tell you this, I think Ben moves around a lot better than people give him credit for. I mean, he's tall and all that, but I think he's a really good knee bender. That's why we put him out in pass coverage, and I'm looking forward to watching Ben play some football this fall.
Let's go to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Great, Sam.
Can you expand on how you're going to determine a 53-man roster without preseason games? I mean, obviously not getting into the details of exactly who you're keeping and cutting, but just how different the process is this year.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a challenge with it. I think the way Coach constructed the training camp was really good. We do things fast. I'm always trying to test them mentally, even in walkthroughs. I try to make them go fast. We got to find out who can think. When the bullets are flying, is somebody going to stick their head in the sand and go to sleep on us? We certainly don't want those guys. But identifying, listen, Brett Veach does a great job. Andy does. They got a good pulse beat on it. Sometimes as coaches, we get so wrapped up in the scheme and getting ready to play an opponent that we forget about the personnel. And we don't forget about it, but that kind of gets lost. And then we got to reprogram ourselves to look at who's what. But I'm hoping and feel confident that we'll pick the right guys. We're very fortunate in the fact that we have some guys returning from last year, so that gives us a little bit of a comfort level. But we'll see how it all shakes out.
Let's go to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, you actually answered my question there. I was going to ask you,
with one shot, huh?
Yeah, there you go. I didn't have a two-part question there, but it's like you mentioned the advantage some of the guys coming back from the roster last year, but what's your message to the guys who had the disadvantage of not having the benefits of OTAs and mandatory minicamp as they try to make this roster?
Yeah, the first thing I have said is follow the guys that were here. I mean, the guys that were around a year ago have gone through it. And I think the player-to-player relationship and conversations are as important as any in this league. And I think every player will tell you that. Let's face it, after a while, they don't really want to listen to me. They'd rather listen to one of their buddies. And I think our guys that have been around do a really good job of that, sharing the information. I don't think anybody's trying to hide anything. And we need everybody. We need a lot of guys to step up, play for us, play early that maybe weren't involved in this system a year ago. But having great communicators in Hitch, Tyron, Dan Sorensen, Ben we mentioned, I think helps anybody that's in the system now that was not in it last year.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Good morning, or actually good after early noon, Steve. With the defensive linemen in making the roster cuts, how much of a factor will be flexibility as to whether you can play inside or outside?
That's a great point. Great point. Well, look at the league, the way offenses are constructed now. We all know we're in more quote unquote sub than we are in base defense. So that becomes really important. I mean, a guy that can, I mean, typically you have the guys that play outside that can go inside on third down or passing down. We got a few of those. Really, Chris is the only guy that we'd ever take from inside and move him out. We had to do it a little bit last year because of injury. So hopefully that doesn't happen. He's always pulling at me to go out there and play D end. I think he asks me every day. But listen, he can do a lot of things. I think in this age of football, I think being flexible throughout the 11 positions on defense is really important. I mean, the corner position is unique, but safeties that can be linebackers like Dan does for us, safeties that can go play the slot like Tyron does for us, ends that can go inside. I think anytime you can be flexible and versatile, it's going to help your overall defense.
Got time for a couple more guys. Let's go Matt, Derek, and then Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, you actually touched a little bit there on what I wanted to ask you about, which was about the safety position. And, how has it changed in, your time in the league as far as what you want from safeties? Because, once upon a time that was a turnover position.
Yeah.
But now it's, you seem to want some flexibility and guys who can do a lot of different things there. Yeah,
it's funny when you ask that question, my mind goes way back to earlier when I was in the league. And I think they said that more, that the safety position wasn't valued. But I can tell you this, we really valued Brian Dawkins. He was you're kind of talking about a spot that I think against offensive football now does become really important, because if you don't have a little bit of skill at that position, offensive coaches are way too smart. They find the mismatches and put you in tough situations. We're fortunate that we have some guys that maybe can play wideouts as safety, still support the run. When you have that, it makes you better. But has there been a change in that position? I'd probably say, yeah, based on, way back when you'd put 3 wideouts in, which was not as prevalent as it is now. Typically, you'd throw another corner in the game. With the speed of the way offenses are now, and by that I mean the tempo of going in and out, you don't get a chance to do that. So if you don't have safeties that have a little versatility, you're really restricted in what you can call. So having a little flexibility with a guy that can play a slot is really, really important.
Let's go to Todd Lebo to close it out. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Coach, you kind of mentioned this a little bit with Sam and Herbie's questions about trying to pick the guys when you haven't had OTAs and exhibition games. Just how hard is it going to be for these defensive guys, first year in your defense and all that, to have the first snap they ever take actually be in a National Football League game?
Yeah, we're going to find out quickly here, aren't we? Yeah, it's baptism by fire, right? The old saying, and that's going to have to happen. We've talked about it. We're going to have to live with some growing pains, I think, at some positions. But what you hope is that the nucleus of the guys around them, will step up their game. We're all hoping. I hope I step up my game. We all do step up, and that we can maybe camouflage those issues a little bit. And listen, if somebody does get exposed or something happens like that, get them on the ground, let's line up and play another down. But it happens. Everybody's going to deal with it around the league everywhere. We certainly got our spots, but I'm confident in the guys that have been around here that they can rally and help out these young guys.
Likewise.
You've played in a couple different systems now, and I'm just curious, what you've learned so far about playing in Steve Spagnuolo's system and working with the D-backs coach. How's it? What have you learned to expect that they're going to ask you to do, and especially as far as versatility and flexibility at your position?
Well, number one, I can appreciate Coach Spags and Coach Merritt and the entire defensive side for just giving me the opportunity, number one. And secondly, they see that I can pick up on the defense very fast, which is a very difficult defense, I would have to say, compared to the other defenses I've been in. Not knocking any of those defenses, but this is very detailed and very specific. And they see with me being able to be very versatile that they're trying me in all the spots on the backfield. And so I'm just open and I'm prepared, and they're doing a great job with preparing me for every position that they think that I could best contribute to the defense.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Antonio, Dave Tobe has called you the best gunner on this team. I was wondering, what's your take on why you have such a knack for that position?
Number one, whatever role they call me on or to be on, I just try to give my best effort that I can. And whatever accolades or whatever praise they want to give me is solely on them. I don't try to go out and do nothing more or nothing less. I just try to go out there and perform at my best ability.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Antonio, I know there's no preseason games to kind of go through the live rehearsal of understanding all the new things that you're doing in Spagnuolo's defense, but given the fact that you are competing on a daily basis with this wide receiver core, how does that prepare you in a way comparable to other past training camps or other preseasons?
Coach Reed's offense is amazing, and the speed and the amount of reps that we are able to obtain in the different periods at practice, it's just crazy. Like, it's the speed and how the offense works that we get a lot of work in. And so I'm able to get 10 reps at corner, 10 reps at nickel, 10 reps at safety, because we get so many reps in that I'm able to get as much repetition in every spot. So I'm learning, and I'm able to make a mistake and get it corrected, and then still able to go out and put it on tape and then perform it in a way that best benefits the defense.
Let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Antonio, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. As you mentioned, you're playing a lot of spots back there. Have you ever played a role quite like what it looks like you're going to be playing this year? And what do you think about this role? I mean, do you feel like it fits your talents?
Most definitely. It shows that I'm very versatile, because I can cover anybody that they put out there, whether it's big, small, quick, fast, or slow. Even when I was in the system with Coach Norton, Ken Norton Jr., who's now in Seattle, who was in Oakland with me my first 2 years, I played both corner and nickel. And occasionally they would sprinkle me in at safety a little bit. And even back to college, I did corner, nickel, and safety, everything. So I can really appreciate Coach Spags and the entire defensive side for using me in such a way. And whatever best fits them to think that me being out on the field in a certain time or a certain package is going to help us win, then I'm going to make sure that I put my best foot forward.
Looks like we've got 3 questions left. Let's go Robert, Todd, and then Herbie. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Antonio. So what's your biggest takeaway from camp this year, especially with how odd it's been and with no preseason games and everything like that?
The biggest takeaway would just be how well the Chiefs organization operates. They're very detailed. They have everything going smooth. We haven't ran into any roadblocks. We've been getting in great work. The amount of reps, like as I was speaking earlier, that we get in a bunch of reps. So everything has been very game-like. So the Chiefs organization as a whole has done a great job with keeping us all safe, and along with our families, and allowing us the opportunity to get in good work on the field, along with whatever the league wants us to do as far as protocols with the COVID stuff.
Let's go to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Antonio, you mentioned how complicated this defense is. You've been in the defense before. You've been in a couple of different training camps with other organizations. You had the ability to go through OTAs and all that stuff in your career. Can you just speak to what do you think these rookies who have never played in an NFL game, it's going to be like for them to have their first ever snap, to be actually in an NFL game, not a preseason game and all that? How much different that kind of speed goes up? And can you take me back to, like, maybe when you were a rookie, what that would have been like to have your first play actually be in a real game?
Yeah, I would say it's an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time. Coming in, I was undrafted. I was the last corner on the board. So basically, all the way up, probably I'll say to the 4th year of my career. Being able to put that film out there in those preseason games to show not only the organization I was playing for, but the other organizations as well that I can play was very vital. And that's a process, and that's a step that those guys aren't being able to get. But I would say the thing, as I spoke earlier about the Chiefs organization and how we operate during practice, they are game reps. It's game quality reps. So if I believe that the guys who have been here or who are fighting for their jobs, along with myself, we take the reps very seriously, and we understand that they all are game reps. So with that, if you can, I feel like me personally, from my past training camps, And like I said, it's not knocking any of the other organization that I played for, but these type of reps and this type of training camp that Coach Reed is running here is different. It's different. It's game-like reps, and every rep. We got some of the fastest receivers in the league here. And so we get to go out there and cover those guys. And if you can cover anybody here, I feel like we can cover anybody in the league. And then for those rookies that may not make it, I think this should be a message for the other teams if they somehow or another get the opportunity to hear it, that everybody here ready, period.
Let's go to Herbie with the last one. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Antonio, I want to follow up on Pete Sweeney's earlier question on playing the gunner position, and I'm hoping to get inside your head here. From the time you line up, when you're split wide, and then when the blockers are in front of you and you know you have to beat them to get down the field, what's running through your mind from the snap to when you're actually down the field and you're able to make contact with the receiver?
First, I would like to thank Coach Thomas McGahee, the special teams coordinator with the Giants, how he explained it to us about how it is being a gunner. First, it's a fight. Second, it's a track meet. So my mentality is, depending on what team we're playing and how the guys are in front of me, lets me know, okay, number one, do I get ready to fight, or can I beat them with quickness and just outrun everybody? So it's depending on the scheme and depending on the type of player that I'm facing on the opposite side of the ball. So most of the time, as I've got for the last 2 years, I've been double teamed. So almost every snap. So I'm thinking fight first, and I figure it out on the way down the field, because a lot of it is improvised because it happens so fast. You just have to let your body just takes over, and whatever your instincts kick to, trust it and go with it.
Afternoon.
Hey, Andy Heck loves flexibility in offensive linemen, and so I'm just curious, is there a position along the line that you have not played during camp? And as an offensive lineman, how do you get yourself in the mindset of knowing that you might be pushed in to play at any position at any time?
Right. Well, I haven't taken any snaps yet, but I've been playing both left and right guard and tackle. I'm just trying to do whatever I possibly can to be ready for any given situation, because you never know what's going to happen during the season. But yeah, when it comes to actually getting ready for those positions, I mean, that's instead of kind of studying, one or two guys, I mean, you got to be ready for all across the line, because you never know who you're going to be playing against. So that'll be a little different this year, but I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
With having the study, really, I guess the whole defensive line, I guess meetings will become more important. So I'm wondering, how has the fit been for you in Kansas City with some of the other guys? You feel like you're really gotten integrated and part of this team now?
Yeah, I absolutely love it here. I love all my teammates. I feel very fortunate to be here. Love the Chiefs, love the entire organization, the coaches, down to the players. I feel very lucky, and I really enjoy playing next to these guys. And everyone's been very helpful and making sure I'm going in the right direction. And so everything, it's just been nothing but positive experiences here.
Let's go to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Mike, appreciate you taking some time here. To kind of follow up on Matt's first question there, there's a saying in the National Football League, the more you can do.
Right.
When did that hit you at your point of career, and how much pride do you take in your versatility?
So I think that's been incredibly important in my NFL career for sure, because I started on practice squad, and at that point you're playing every position, whatever they need, you're playing. And then early in my career, my main goal was just to be on the field. And so you just got to be ready to be thrown in at any position. And so being very versatile, especially for younger guys, is incredibly important. I've gotten a lot of experience of playing multiple positions and starting games at 4 different positions. So that's been great, just having some experience to fall back on. But it's been, interesting going, a different camp for me, because I'm used to, usually just kind of sticking at one spot. So I've been kind of going around and learning a new offense, and then having to learn all the ins and outs for each positions. It's been a challenge, but it's been a lot of fun though, and looking forward to the season to finally start. We're almost there, guys.
Let's go to Robert Rimson. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Mike. So I asked Antonio this earlier. What's what's been your biggest takeaway from camp, especially being one of the newer guys on the team?
Well, I love Coach Reed, and I love his coaching style, and it all starts from there and works its way down. It's just a great environment here. I've been, like I was saying earlier, I'm very fortunate to be here, and love being here. And when the Chiefs offered me, I was like, yeah, let's definitely do it. I really want to just experience what it's like playing here, and the success that they had last year is, it's behind us at this point, and just looking forward to this season. And it's just a very hardworking team, very dedicated, hardworking team.
We've got a couple more. Let's go Todd and then Nate. Go ahead, Todd.
Mike, Antonio was telling us earlier that it felt like in practice, since there's no games and there's no exhibition games and everything seems like a game rep. Like it's been a different kind of feel at this camp. Now they're out there playing, defensive back and all that stuff. Has it been like that in the line? Have they felt more like game reps? I know you can't have true contact.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's full go. And I mean, especially with no preseasons, I feel like the coaches have been trying to make the situations as game-like as possible, just so we have experience and we can kind of run through those drills, certain situations, key situations that, would probably come up during the preseason. We've been going through those each day, different situations, and just trying to make each practice as game-like as possible. It's been, getting a lot of reps, and a lot of younger guys are getting a lot of reps too, with, having 80 guys instead of 90. So there's a lot of guys that normally wouldn't be getting reps that are getting a lot of reps during the practice. So it's good for them to be able to get some tape for the coaches to evaluate, because it's tough not having the preseason games for those guys.
Let's go to Nate to close it out. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Mike, I'm just interested from your perspective, learning those multiple positions in the new playbook, in your previous experience, what's it been like to understand Pat's mindset in terms of the protection calls, given where you are on a given rep, as you try to get to know what the quarterback's thinking based on what the situation is, where you are, if you are needed upon at a certain position?
Yeah, so, I mean, number one is just knowing what you're doing on a given play, and I've been definitely getting some reps with the ones, and just being able to watch film and hear him, how his brain how the protections kind of hit his brains to certain blitzes, and just trying to learn those ins and outs. And yeah, there was a few times, earlier that I was like, oh, I wasn't kind of expecting it, but yeah, we've definitely been working through those things. And I think the big thing is just getting mental reps. When I'm not in there, I'm sitting there next to Coach Heck, and I'm knowing the play, and I'm evaluating what I would be doing from the sidelines. So just always being ready.